Hello and welcome back to the Quarter Life Crisis, a real life podcast dealing with all things in your 20s. And today's episode is for all of you who have dreamed about their next vacation or maybe even thought about taking a solo trip or moving abroad for an extended period of time. I will give you a quick little life update on my end so you understand the context and why I want to devote this episode on this topic that is very close to my heart. As I mentioned in the first episode, I'm an entrepreneur. Moreover, I'm a digital nomad. So basically, all that I need is my laptop and a good internet connection, and I can work from anywhere in the world. And this has truly been a blessing because I like to travel, I like to keep mobile, I like new environments because all of this for me sparks creativity. After my breakup, which happened at the beginning of the year, I decided to stay in the flat until the summertime. And now I have the option to move back into my family home. Salzburg is truly my anchor. Here is the place that I know that my family lives in, my friends, my cats, my routines are set up here. So it's very comfortable indeed. However, sometimes that anchor is holding you back when you actually need to move. And truly, after I moved out last year, this chapter feels like it's closed. I will be spending the summer in Barcelona and I am super excited. First of all, because I really feel like a Latina at heart. I come alive in Latin America. I even studied Spanish for 2 years when I was at university. And there's just something about the vibe that completely gets me and fills me up with life. Also, it's close enough to also come home in case there is a fuel crisis and planes will just not take off any longer. I can also get back home to Austria by train. All of this moving abroad, changing places topic has got me thinking about solo travel and why I want to devote a whole episode to this topic. And at the end, you'll also get some tips how to get started in case you've been dreaming this dream for a longer time. First, I wanted to reflect a little bit back how I started to solo travel. And I was actually 15 years old when I first hopped on a plane and went to California. That it was slightly insane that I went, but I ended up staying with a host family and I also attended an English language camp, so to speak. So I wasn't alone, but still it was definitely a step out of my comfort zone into my growth zone. I really connected with my host family. And so the following year, I decided to go back to California and I spent another 3 weeks there. Fast forward to when I was close to turning 18, I decided to go be a high school student in America. Granted, Mississippi was not my first choice state-wise, and it was a little rough from time to time because the values were different. But what I learned is when you actually live somewhere, not pass through, not just spend a couple of weeks, is that you actually understand another person's reality because you invest time and you invest your attention into learning their daily struggles, into learning how the way that they think works. And I feel like this is something that we all can benefit so much from, this empathy, this openness, this building trust for another person to open up. This is something I truly wouldn't want to miss. And I think is something that makes us a better human, a better friend, a better entrepreneur. Empathy is an asset, so cultivate it and be open. After that, the travel bug was and remains completely out of control. And back in 2022, when I started my business, when I had to go to Croatia to set up operations, I also took a little bit of time to travel through Croatia. I was in Pula, Split, then went back to Slovenia, Ljubljana, Lake Bled. So I got a taste of that freedom, but it was still relatively close to home. So within 5 hours of sitting in the car, I was safe and sound back in Salzburg. So after that summer, I decided to take another solo trip, but this time I wanted to change continents. And so in November 2022, I decided to go to Costa Rica. You guys, Costa Rica gave me so many beautiful memories that I still like to think back to. It just imprints itself on you. The nature, the wildlife, the waterfalls, the people that I met there. This was all so fulfilling. And I felt challenged in some ways because, well, I mean, traveling alone has its challenges, but at the same time, I felt safe. And so after that trip, I visited Sri Lanka in 2024. But this time, I was actually not alone. I was with a friend, with a very good friend of mine, but only for part of the trip. I will say it's important to talk about your travel expectations, especially when you are gone for a longer period of time. And probably also the further the distance from home, the more there is the need to talk. I'm talking sleep schedules, how you want to structure your day. Are you looking for something active? Are you looking for something more in the wellness direction? What's your budget like? What kind of accommodation do you prefer? So there's a lot of points that you can talk about just to make sure that you will not make each other miserable. Because compromise is fine, but only as long as you still get to enjoy your vacation and traveling together. But in this case, our expectations aligned very well. And I was actually surprised how well we got along. There was no fight, there was no bickering. So it was really a wholesome experience altogether. And so when she left, I was really struggling at first. I was even kind of lost because I had to adapt to that solo traveler mindset again. And that's the following. If you don't want to be social or if you're not social, you will actually travel solo. You have to be open. You have to talk to people if you want to make human contact, right? So that's something maybe to keep in mind as well. In 2025, I took a solo trip to Amsterdam to attend a dance camp, which was also really fun. And then this year, I took an extended trip through Latin America where I visited Mexico, Guatemala, and Belize. And that was right after the breakup, which really saved me because it helped to stop my brain spiraling in the same thought storm that would inevitably come every day. I had to break out of that routine. It was getting really, really tiring for me. And so taking that trip and having to organize it all was super helpful. And that also brings me to my next point, why solo traveling actually works for me, at least. And first of all, I want to mention that I don't travel alone because I don't have amazing people that I want to share these experiences with, my friends, my family, or maybe also just joining group travel. But it's something else that draws me back to this specific type of travel. I think it comes down to a few things. And the first is identity. And this is a key point for me. Solo travel gives you the freedom to really explore yourself, to lean into that part of you that is curious, that is brave, that is courageous, and you can reinvent yourself even multiple times within the day if you feel like it. Nobody knows you. And I'm just going to repeat that to let that sink in because nobody knows you. There is no pressure, no role you have to fill, no expectations. There is no routine you have to follow. You can really tune in, look inwards, and decide who you want to be that day. Which experiences do you want to have? How do you carry yourself? And this is not about running away from yourself. It's, I think, maybe the opposite. It's really being open to getting to know yourself in a very different setting without the commentary from people that you know. The second point is a shift in perspective. And this is happening in various ways. It can be a shocking, eye-opening revelation that you get after talking to somebody or after witnessing somebody else's reality. Or it can be a conversation that quietly rearranges something within you. But getting to know the world is something that is always expanding your horizon, I think. And back here in Austria, if I think about a regular week or a regular month, let's say, I will probably have some networking or work events. I will probably go to a friend's birthday party from time to time. I attend a lot of yoga classes and I also teach yoga, so I meet new people there. But truly, the influx of new people is really, really limited. Compared to traveling, I stayed mostly in hostels, and there I met, I would say, roughly 5 people a day. So 5 new people, 5 new backstories, 5 new lives that you can learn about. And people who travel, who put themselves into that unfamiliar setting on purpose, they are just really open and you get to learn a lot from each other, which I think is a beautiful thing. I met an Austrian girl who had been traveling or had been a digital nomad for 9 years at that point. And I was like, hands down, you're my queen. I was really inspired because traveling for such an extended period of time brings up a lot of questions. How do you manage your finances? How do you manage looking for a new space? Where you want to stay next? Do you not miss home? What is different? This is all so much wisdom that one person can pass on to you, and that conversation certainly stuck with me. Last but certainly not least is the world itself. I live in a place where nature is beautiful and it's intact, but to discover that waters in Mexico, to go snorkeling in Belize and discovering this underwater world like an absolute child, being so excited about every fish I got to see. Eating huge portions of homemade koto in Sri Lanka by the beach and floating in the waterfalls in Costa Rica, constantly looking up, which made my neck really stiff. But this is now besides the point. It's the wildlife, it's the nature, it's just the beauty that our planet has to offer us. And it's different than looking at a picture. It's not only the earth and the nature, it's also the people that inhabit this planet with us. And sometimes when I'm driving home from work, I will just think about a random person. It can be a grandmother in Japan, a toddler in Ecuador, or a couple in Norway. I don't know. And I just think about what their life is like in that moment, what struggles they face, what hard decisions they have to make, what brings them joy, how their day looks like. And I just get this feeling of connection, which is wild to me because our planet is so huge and all of a sudden it shrinks down and it becomes this intimate feeling. And then I also feel my desire to see how they live, to be with that toddler or that grandmother or that couple in not a weird way. I think you get what I'm saying. Travel does that to me. And also what is really important to mention is that I am practicing gratefulness for my life in Austria every single day. I find something that I'm grateful for, but at the same time, I feel like traveling, getting that shock to your system and coming back also enhances that gratitude for what you have in your own country, in your own life setup even more. Now I want to give you something practical because I've been talking about waterfalls enough in this episode. I'm going to share some tips with you if you want to get started with solo travel. I hope I could convince you to at least try. And the first tip is that you can start smaller than you think you need to. Essentially, what I mean is that you don't have to go to Costa Rica or Sri Lanka or Mexico for your first trip. You can literally just book a little cabin for a weekend away where you can easily drive up to and see how you like it, see which challenges maybe come up, and just how solo travel feels to you with no pressure. The distance is almost irrelevant. It's just that you get to start. Secondly, I would advise you to stay in hostels. And I know this is not for everybody, but believe me, if you want to be social, a hostel is such an easy place to start, especially if you're an extrovert. This will be your playground. Also, it's a much cheaper option, so you can also extend your travel if you have a limited budget. Third tip is to use the language, even if you're not an expert. My Spanish was kind of rusty when I went to Costa Rica, and I still tried. You know, even if it was just to ask where the bathroom was, or if I can pay with my card, it's a start. And people realize that you're trying and they're so open and they're so willing to help you. If you're completely stuck, there's always fantastic apps that you can use that help you out. Lastly, accept that solo traveling is tiring. We shouldn't just romanticize this idea because it's all up to you. Every decision you have to make is yours. Every struggle that you face is yours. It's complete freedom, but at the same time, you will spend days just planning out where you want to go next, how to get there, where to book, where to stay, what to do. Except that these are the planning days, and then there are the travel days, and then there are the adventure days. Well, to sum this third episode up, what do I want you to take away from this? I think my main message is that solo travel is really a great tool to get to know yourself, to be able to explore parts of yourself that might stay hidden in your everyday routine, in your everyday life. It's not just for people who are brave or courageous, it's for everybody. And I think you can find a way to tap into that very specific type of travel by starting small, by getting tips, by informing yourself. It has really helped me a lot, especially getting to know other people's life realities. It opens you up in ways you can't even grasp at the moment of the conversation happening, but also be prepared that it can shift something long term in you, that when you come back home, it might be difficult to readjust. That's also a key takeaway here. Your surroundings at home, they might still see things the same way they did before you left. So be patient, try to explain what you've learned, what you've witnessed, what you've seen. But at the same time, if you've outgrown people, then also be fine with that. because that's also just way of life. I still have a little more than 2 weeks here in Salzburg, and then I have to pack up my stuff and get ready for my summer destination, which feels surreal sometimes, but at the same time, it really fills me with a lot of excitement. And if you are in Barcelona by any chance, or if you've recently visited the city and have some tips, please do let me know. If this episode made you think about a trip that you've been putting off, I'm just gonna say go book it, or at least open up that tab once more. If you've been listening since episode 1, thank you so much. It truly means a lot. I'm really excited to do this podcast. And until the next episode, adios.